Thanks to Amy for that. Now I'd like to introduce our awesome jury panel. This event wouldn't have been able to happen without them. They volunteered their time and went through our many, many submissions to help determine who the finalists and winners should be. So first I'd like to recognize Anders. He's a well-known leader in the local UX committee as a proponent of Agile, as the leader of the New York City IA Meetup and especially Agile Experience Design Group, also a UX author, designer, and coach. He's a veteran designer with clients including AT&T, CBS, Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, McGraw-Hill. I can't read all of these, but there's a lot. And he's highly active in the UX design community. Started the IA Meetup in 2003. He's a regular speaker and panelist. Many of us have heard him talk. And he has a forthcoming book, Designing with Agile, that's going to be published by Rosenfeld Media. Yay, Anders! Thank you. We're not going in order of how they're sitting, just so you know. So, Chris Jaffe is Director of Product Innovation at Netflix, and he flew here from San Francisco to be on this panel. Chris leads Netflix product innovation on game consoles, mobile phones, multi-screen experiences, as well as product experiences from Netflix's original series. His work includes the new Netflix multi-screen experience on the Wii U and the Xbox 360. Prior to joining Netflix, he was Senior Director of UX at Yahoo, and he has 10 years previous to that in UX consulting with many clients, degree from Cornell and the University of Arizona, and he lives in SF. So thanks so much to Chris for coming. Cindy Jeffers is CEO and CTO joint role at Salon.com. And it's a leading progressive news site, in case you didn't know. She served as technical director at the Huffington Post through a period of very substantial growth before its acquisition by AOL, and had over 10 years in designing interactive experiences for museums, retail, touchscreens, etc. as an interaction designer. Cindy holds a master's from ITP and a BA from Barnard, and we went to school together. Thanks, Cindy. CORY LEBSON is Principal UX Consultant at Lebsontech and the Director of Strategic Partnerships for UXPA International, and CORY came up from DC to be here tonight, so thanks to CORY for that. He's got his own consultancy, Lebsontech LLC, that focuses mainly on government, large-scale systems, as well as nonprofit and educational organizations. He teaches, and he has an MBA and an MA, and he's on the board of the DC chapter of UXPA, as well as the UXPA International as Director of Strategic Partnerships. So thanks to CORY. John PAYNE is a design educator and principal at Moment Design, also a frequent speaker in New York that you may have heard. He has his own digital design firm, Moment Design, that was started in 2002. His work explores the positive contribution that mobile tech and experience design can make to health and education, with a focus on empowering patients and learners. He was educated in design at Auburn University and the Institute of Design at IIT, lectures and teaches widely, including at Pratt and Parsons and NYU, including the current Parsons Masters of Strategic Design Management. He's participated in many industry and events and is very involved in both IXDA as well as EPIC, the Ethnographic Praxis in Industry Conference. It's quite a mouthful. So thank you, John. Liz Hubert is a local UX independent consultant and an IXDA New York local leader. As an independent consultant based in New York, she helps bring an understanding to business of all sizes on the value of UX and why UX can help make products more successful and enjoyable to use. If you can't find her maintaining her business working on ESPN Mobile, Viacom, and many other large clients, you can see her in the local community, such as at IXDA events and at the advisory board for Future Insights. And she's also a speaker internationally, so thanks so much to Liz. Lastly, Tomer Sharon is a UX author and senior UX researcher at Google Search. And he's the author of the book, It's Our Research, Getting Stakeholder Buy-in for User Experience Research Projects, which came out in 2012. He founded the Israeli chapter of UXPA and is a mentor of Google's campus TLV, a UX learning, collaboration, and mentorship program for Israeli startups. He speaks widely at industry conferences and events, and he's on the editorial board for UXPA's UX magazine. He's got a master's in human factors and information design from Bentley University. Thanks so much, Tomer. Lastly, in case you're wondering who I am, it's always weird to introduce myself, but anyways, I've already mentioned that I've got a UX consultancy called Oxford Technology Ventures. I've got 17 years experience in this industry, worked on hundreds of projects. I've got a master's from Oxford and an MBA MFA from ITP. So enough about me. Now moving on to the jurors. Thank you. Juror questions. Each juror gets to answer one question in 1 minute, starting with Anders. Anders, what is the future of Agile and Lean UX?
Is this thing on? Well, if we think about Agile, I think a lot of people associate Agile with software development, and Agile certainly has transformed how we make software. But the other big aspect of Agile is how we collaborate, really transforming how people interact and engage one another. And today, Agile and Lean UX is one that tends to be more focused around changing how UX designers collaborate. For example, going to more lightweight documents, conducting workshops, and so forth. But in terms of the future, to, I guess, use the well-known quote by William Gibson, where he said that the future is already here, but it's just not evenly distributed. We already kind of see the future of these practices in certain startups, where those who don't practice it often would describe as sort of these unicorns, where they're working across many disciplines and many roles, and where UX is just one part of that. And I see that as more of the future of Agile Lean UX, and I see startups, and particularly those very progressive startups who work in that way, as the future. And when those startups become large companies, that is then, I think, going to drive what will become more of the norm, and where it's more expected that an Agile Lean UX practice is just part of visual design, front-end development, and other disciplines.
Chris, what makes great UX in digital video and digital TV delivery?
Well, in the years I've been working at Netflix, I've learned a bunch of things. One is that people are disproportionately passionate about movies and TV shows, more so than you could ever imagine. It's pretty crazy, a little bit scary, but that passion, coupled with the very challenging nature of where we are today with digital TV and movies, really challenging the linear delivery of TV. They're pretty solid expectations in users' minds around what TV and movies are, how people should be able to access TV and movies, and how that should be delivered. And being successful and delivering a great user experience there, I found really comes down to 3 key things. Number 1 is simplicity. As user experience professionals, we talk a lot about simplicity. In the TV and movie space, you can't even imagine it has to be stupid simple. Like however simple you may think it is, you gotta make it like 3x more simple. It cannot be too simple, and people get really angry if it's not simple. So, it's taken my whole perception of simplicity to a whole new level. I mean, I've been doing this work for, I don't know, 12, 13 years or something before I got to Netflix. I didn't know simplicity until I started doing the testing and some of the work at Netflix. You just have no idea. Simplicity is one. I think the second one that I've learned is choice. Choice is really, really important. Giving people the ability to choose what they want to watch when, not making it too hard is really key, back to that simplicity thing, but choice is really important. And my wife really kind of pointed this out 2 nights ago when we just finished up House of Cards, one Netflix original series, great if you haven't seen it, but she got really hooked on it. And we're looking for a new show, and so we're going through a new UI actually that we're working on for PS3, and she's going through it, and we found a show, and she said, well, how many seasons are there? And I said, oh, there's only 2, and she goes, forget it, I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm like, hold on a second, you have like 28 episodes of this thing, and you're not willing to waste your time. You want something with like 5 seasons before you're interested in it, right? So choice is another one. Another thing is directly challenging linear TV, the performance has to be spot on. It's really, the user experience is driven a lot by the technical execution here. You need to be able to serve up the video immediately. This is a big, big thing. So performance is really key, and that is just, it's something you work hard at. You don't ever get any credit for it. You work hard at it, you have to deliver. You have to be perfect at that. So it comes down to simplicity, choice, and performance for a great TV and movies experience.
Great, thanks. Cindy, how do you evaluate UX in publishing and news sites?
Hi. So I think that with publishing, I think probably similar to movies, people are they identify with the content, and they have strong feelings about it. There's a big emotional connection with the content. And so aligning and thinking about the design in terms of the ways, the passion points on the site, the things that are really driving people there. The flexibility of the site is also really important, so being able to react in any kind of, especially if you're a news site, being able to react in the moment to a news event. And then also I think it's really important just to think about where on the site people are really arriving at. For a lot of publishers, they're coming into the content page or the article page. And so really turning that into a place that is, almost like a welcome mat for the rest of the site, so that people aren't familiar with it, that they're getting elsewhere. And then I guess lastly, just thinking about where they're coming from. Some people are really concerned, and interested in the types of content that their friends are reading. Other people are just looking on, about searching for a particular topic. And then you have your loyal users who are coming every day. So thinking about the different ways that people are getting there and how they're experiencing.
Thank you. Corey gets this simple question. What makes great UX?
Okay, well, I'll answer that simple question with a hopefully simple answer. There's a classic definition of usability, which is the extent to which a product can be used by specified users to achieve specified goals with 3 things: effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction in a specified context of use. And, okay, you've heard that, right? And the truth is that, whether we go by some old ISO standard or we say, well, now we're doing user experience, it's really the same thing. It's still important. It's got to work. It's got to be effective. It's got to work quickly and efficiently, and people have to feel good about their experiences with the overall user experience. So that's your simple answer.
John's going to tell us what are the trends in healthcare UX.
I'll try to anyway. So just speaking from after these other speakers, it's interesting to me that surprisingly little passion is given or has been historically to people's healthcare experience compared to their passion, say, for movies or news, which is, probably not surprising because it's something you live with every day. It's not something you celebrate. Amy from RAMSAY gave a bit of an era analysis of where we've been as an as a group of user experience designers. So I thought I'd try to do that with healthcare. I think historically, if you're as old as me, you probably remember a very thick book around your house somewhere called the Mayo Clinic Family Health Guide. So the way of engaging with healthcare back then was, I've got a problem, what is this thing? How do I fix it? And you only thought about your health when you really had to deal with something. The early era of the web sort of treated it the same way. So WebMD is a great example of a reference, something that you might use, and it's still a wonderful reference. With the advent of kind of social media, things started happening like Patients Like Me, which is a site that actually connects people with life-changing conditions so that they can share information. Perhaps that's not documented, perhaps it's not a reference, but they're sharing their lives, they're being more open. And really where I see it going is it has something to do with connected products. It has something to do with the fact that there's a growing quantified self movement that isn't really that healthcare related, but it has to do with my performance and has to do with my well-being. I also see some trends with the integration of products that I use for healthcare that have been historically really problematic to use. Looking at diabetes as a case, and now sort of constant blood testing, and thinking about how those kind of products might be integrated into an environment that is connected and where people are sort of more passively tracking and actively sort of becoming engaged with their health. And so I see some potential futures there, and I think that's kind of exciting.
Thank you. Liz is going to answer a question I can relate to. How do you describe the benefit of UX consulting to clients?
So I was thinking about this earlier in general, just because I met with some prospective clients today. And when I entered the profession, I entered the profession from being a Java programmer for a few years. And I had to totally switch my mode. I was no longer programming for efficiency. I had to, and my opinions no longer mattered. In fact, they were ineffective. They were non-effective. So I had to get rid of all my opinions and talk and understand the language of the user. So then I had to learn empathy and all the things that we're really good at. And so when I think about describing the benefit of UX consulting to potential clients, I don't think about what am I trying to get across. I don't think about, I need to tell them that we need to do user testing and personas and research. I don't think about any of that. I think about what do they want to hear from me? They want to hear, how are you going to spend my money and make me more money? And so I don't speak in these Machiavellian terms or these very, business-like terms, but I hit them where they want to hear me. This is how I'm going to help you make your business better. And so that's how I usually talk with them.
Great. Now, Tomer's question he's written a whole book on, but now he has to summarize it in a minute. What are the hallmarks of great UX research?
It's easy. Actually, only my fourth point is about my book, so let's do it. So, to me, great user experience research does not focus on listening to users, right? Instead, I call for people to observe their behavior. There's a very big difference between what people say they do and what they actually do. And a lot of people fall to this trap and ask people what they do or ask people how they would behave. So that's number one. Number two is that this great user experience research is answering one of three of the following questions. One is, what do people need? The other is, what do people want? And the third and easiest thing to capture is, can they use the thing? So I would say these are, this is the second point why UX research is great. The third point is that it solves problems and meet needs that people actually have. Because a lot of people and organizations do a lot of research around identifying problems and needs, and that's fine, that's great. But people really need to care about these things, because how many stupid products do we know? How many stupid apps do we know? We need to care about the problem and care enough about that need, and great user experience research helps identifying this. Now for my book. Last point, 10 seconds. Actually, it's 2 words. Great user experience research is, it's everyone's. So if your entire team feels that research, team or client or whoever it is, feels that research is theirs as much as you, the person who does the research, feel it's yours, then you're good.
Great, thank you. Well, right now we've got a very special guest who's going to come and talk for a bit and inspire us before we get into the awards. And that's Mashable's CTO, Robin Peterson. Robin is the CTO and head of product for Mashable, where he led the creation and development of the new Mashable.com site, which launched in December 2012. And then he established Mashable as a leader in the media and tech company hybrid model for new media. Prior to Mashable, he was the head of product at Next Issue Media, the magazine and newspaper consortium that was funded by News Corp, Condé Nast, Time Inc., Meredith, and Hearst. It's got to be pretty much all the publishing companies in the city, where he led the development of the digital newsstand. And before that, he headed up product strategy and tech at the local media division of NBC. So welcome to Robin. Thanks very much for joining us.